Can rap lyrics be used in court? I was scrolling YouTube the other night and I discovered a whole brand new lawyer channel. Criminal Lawyer Reacts Bruce Rivers, and he was talking about a Bobby Shmurda song. Presumably because Bobby Shmurda is getting out of prison this week, but Bruce said something very interesting.
I'm not clear as to whether they use this in his proceedings or not. It certainly didn't help him, but
So I thought I would make a video answering the following two questions. 1, can rap lyrics be used in court? And 2, could Bobby Shmurda's rap lyrics be used against him in his court case? Before I jump into the analysis, a couple housekeeping matters. If you follow this channel for a long time, you know that from time to time, we address difficult subjects. And in doing research for this video, it became clear that there is some racial prejudice for the consequences of using rap lyrics in court because rap is a staple of the African American community, and presumably, if rap lyrics are being used in court, they statistically are being used against the African American community. About a year ago on this channel, I had Mr. Ricky Kidd come and do an interview. Ricky spent over 20 years in prison for a crime he did not commit. The prosecutor affirmatively lied in his case and withheld evidence. And as a result, he had to spend the majority of his life in prison. And in talking with Ricky, he told me that I have to keep doing my job and educating on the things that I do know. And while I don't know what it's like to be an African American citizen in this community, I am a trial lawyer. I'm a freaking good trial lawyer too. On the desk at all times, I even have a rules of evidence book, understanding trial objections. I've read this thing 20 times. So even though I really feel it's not my place to comment on the racial implications of this, I want to talk about how the law works, how the rules of evidence are applied, so then somebody who does have that capacity can use this knowledge and push the conversation forward. And finally, I appreciate your maturity on the matter. I always do my best to keep things interesting, streamlined, but also respectful at the same time. Okay, jumping into it. Can rap lyrics be used in court? And I'm going to segment this question into two broad examples. Example 1. A situation in which the rap lyrics pertain to the actual crime alleged. And 2, a situation in which the rap lyrics have nothing to do or not corroborated with the crime alleged. With respect to scenario 1, rap lyrics as they pertain to the crime alleged. If a song directly corroborates evidence of a crime, it shows motive and intent. So it can overcome 401, 403, 404 objections and will likely be admitted into court. Let me give you an example. Matthew, come here for the example. Let's say I make a rap song about my employee Matthew, about how I'm angry at him, I'm upset with him, and I'm going to kill him with a Glock 43 because he was late for work. And then about a day later, or 2 days later, or a month after this song was released, Matthew is found dead, shot by a Glock 43. If I was then charged with murder, that rap lyric could probably be used against me in court because it has corroborating evidence. It shows why I wanted to injure or kill Matthew. It shows how I did it with the specific type of weapon. In addition to those examples, songs can also include co-conspirators, how they got away, what time of day, where the incident occurred. And if any of this stuff in a song is corroborated by evidence, meaning if the prosecution has the type of gun that was used, has video cameras of where it happened, of when it happened, of the location where it happened, all these things could be corroborated against the song so long as the song has that information in there. And in the words of my new friend who doesn't know me, Bruce Rivers, that is just self-snitching. So that example is pretty straightforward. It's to the point I think most people can grasp that. So in short, that Key and Peele sketch is a little bit more over-exaggerated than real life. But the second question, the second area concerning rap lyrics that don't involve a corroborated crime, the alleged crime, is far more interesting and far more complex. And that's for a number of reasons. And it starts with the First Amendment, free speech. It has long been held that artistic expression is a form of free speech. And oftentimes songs are written from the point of view of a narrator. Surely no reasonable person in the world could ever expect that a songwriter has personally lived through everything that occurs in a song, nor is it meant to be taken literally. Did the Beatles actually live in a yellow submarine? Did Taylor Swift's dad really prevent her from seeing the love of her life and it was this romantic drama. No, of course not. They wrote that stuff to sell records because individuals could empathize with the song and it told a good story. And this is a problem because oftentimes when rap lyrics are admitted into court, it's not the first example that we were talking about. It's this example where the rap lyrics don't really have to do with anything alleged, none of the crimes involved. Instead, the rap lyrics are introduced as character evidence, as evidence that is supposed to be shown as the defendant's propensity to commit bad acts or violence. And that leads way for a huge problem. In a 2014 amicus brief filed by the ACLU to the New Jersey Supreme Court, the ACLU cited that between the years 2006 and 2013, rap lyrics were introduced into evidence 80% of the time they were tendered. And this brief was submitted for a case called New Jersey v. Skinner. The facts of the case are as follows. Mr. Skinner was convicted of attempted murder. And during the course of his trial, the prosecution successfully entered into evidence Mr. Skinner's rap lyrics. These rap lyrics were actually found in the back of Mr. Skinner's car, but they had nothing to do with the crime alleged. They were never self-identified. They never corroborated a time, place, or how he did it. Additionally, they even admitted that the rap lyrics could have been written anywhere from 4 months to 2 years before the incident occurred. But because the rap lyrics talked about an anonymous person who followed street law, who was the muscle for drug kingpins and committed violent crimes, they used these lyrics against Mr. Skinner in his actual court case. So even though there was no proof that Mr. Skinner committed any of these things, it was used against him in a court of law because the prosecution successfully argued at the trial level that this was a 404B exception, character evidence, so this evidence should be allowed into trial. But ultimately, it was good news for Mr. Skinner because the New Jersey Appellate Court reversed this decision, saying it was unduly prejudicial to his case, and the Supreme Court affirmed the Appellate Court's decision on this. So ultimately, it was reversed, but you can see where this can be an issue. And as recent as January 2021, a case came out saying rap lyrics could be used against somebody in court, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see the consequences and implications of this. Why would somebody create music if it could be used against them 10 years from now, 5 years from now? Does that hinder artistic expression? Obviously it does. And further in law, we have this concept of tainting the jury or the fruit of the poisonous tree or whatever metaphor. There's a million of them. If you introduce irrelevant character evidence that really isn't even character evidence because there's nothing corroborating the evidence, then you run the risk of tainting the jury pool and making them thinking of the defendant as somebody that they're not because you're allowing in artistic expression into the jury pool. And that could be the critical difference between a guilty and not guilty verdict. So to wrap up the second prong of this question about whether or not rap lyrics can be used when they're not corroborating an alleged crime, it depends. Every state's going to have different rules of evidence. Every judge is going to apply those rules of evidence differently. Clearly, it possibly could be. We're seeing it firsthand now. And that argument is probably a fight that's going to take place over the course and scope of American jurisprudence for the next years to come. So in the most lawyer answer possible, it depends. Because where does the slippery slope end? I think they should take a hard line about the corroborating evidence. They should ask, do these lyrics corroborate anything? And if not, they're not used. Rap lyrics used in corroboration with the crime alleged or corroborates the crime alleged, probably going to be admitted into evidence. You just self-snitched, in the words of Bruce Rivers. Rap lyrics used that don't corroborate the crime could be thrown out, could be admitted. It's going to depend on the state, the judge, the prosecutor. You're rolling the dice. It is what it is. Okay, let's take a quick dive into Mr. Bobby Shmurda's case and answer the question, could his rap lyrics have been used against him in court? In December 2014, Bobby and 14 other members of his gang, the GS9, were arrested on charges of conspiracy, reckless endangerment, and gun possession. And according to authorities on the date Bobby was arrested, they found 21 weapons and small amounts of crack cocaine in the immediate vicinity that they swept post the arrest. Bobby initially pled not guilty was released on bail. That bail was then revoked. He was waiting in jail, pled not guilty again, and they set the case for trial. And meanwhile, while Bobby's bail was revoked, there was a huge pre-trial fight. Multiple bail conferences were held, all of which were rejected. And during this legal battle, Bobby maintained his innocence. He said that it was biased, that there was favoritism against him, and that they wanted to make an example out of him because of who he was and what he stood for. And eventually, in September of 2016, more than 18 months after this entire saga started, Bobby and one of his co-defendants pled guilty. They pled guilty to 4th-degree conspiracy to criminally possess a weapon and a 2nd-degree criminal possession of weapons. Additionally, there was another charge that was brought on for Bobby's alleged actions during his pre-trial prison term, but that time was served concurrently with his plea deal, so it didn't really affect the outcome of when he got out. Long story short, Bobby was essentially in prison from 2015 until just recently. And when asked why he took the plea deal, Bobby says he did it for his friend Rowdy. Allegedly, the only way that the district attorney would give Rowdy a plea deal of only 7 years is if Bobby got one too. Now that you have a little bit of backstory about Bobby's situation, let's analyze whether or not his rap lyrics could have been used against him in his court proceeding had it gone to trial. I'm going to be showing you lyrics of one of Bobby's songs. These lyrics are in no particular order. I'm just going to be showing you the ones that I think are relevant, and then I'm going to do a little analysis. We keep 9 mils on my block. In Trigger, he be wilding. Tones known to get busy with them Glocks. I've been selling crack since like the 5th grade. That's what got my daddy locked up in the dog pound. With them 16s, we gonna put some shots on them. GS9, I go so hard. But GS for my gun squad. I'm with Trigger, I'm with Rasha, I'm with A-Rod. Okay, that's enough. The point I'm trying to make by showing you these lyrics is this song is probably autobiographical. He's talking about his father, he's talking about his friends. Trigger, Rasha, and A-Rod were actually co-defendants in this trial. He's talking about the use of weapons. He's talking about wanting to use weapons in the future. He's talking about the selling of crack cocaine. And he's talking about his gang. Now, if you corroborate that with what he was charged with and why he was arrested, they found weapons in his possession that mark the weapons described in the song. They found trace amounts of crack cocaine as defined in the song. They found other co-conspirators, other defendants, as described in the song. Do you see how a prosecutor could make an argument that this is different from character evidence? This is actually autobiographical evidence that, in the words of Bruce Rivers, an attorney who I do not know, but I want to meet someday, this was probably self-snitching.
Self-snitching.
And again, I don't know whether or not this was actually used in court. I'm just saying that if we roll back the tape and this went to trial, could it have been used in court? Probably. And there's a bigger lesson in this than just that. Regardless of what can or can't be used in court, anything you put out to the public can be used to instigate an investigation. In doing research about this particular issue, Bobby in particular, there's some suggestion that his songs were actually tips to the federal government, which then in turn led to the investigation, which led to the arrest, which led to his subsequent jail time. So that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. We were all over the place. I know it's a serious topic with serious prejudicial undertones, but I try to make it as interesting as possible and somewhat entertaining so people can watch. Please make sure you leave any comments down below and hit that like button if you enjoyed this video. That would really mean the world to me. It helps push this video out to the YouTube algorithm so our community can continue to grow. And last but not least, please subscribe to this channel if you want to be a part of our community. We talk about a lot of interesting stuff here. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon.